Coming at you from the south side of Chicago, straight out of my mother's basement at my childhood home, I'd like to welcome you all to the Power to Persist. My sister, Angela Rye, welcome to the Power to Persist podcast. Welcome to Southside Chicago, Woodline, my neighborhood, who you probably heard me talk about it for years. So glad to have you here. Mama's upstairs, you're in the basement.
Shout out to Mama.
Yes. Shout out to Mama.
And shout out to you. Congratulations on everything. This is incredible.
Thank you.
This is incredible.
Thank you for taking time out to be here.
My honor.
So without me going in like this exhaustive bio, tell folks that may like, we know, folks who are going to be listening know who you are, but like catch us up. Like, what are you doing? Native Land Podcast. What are you, because remember, I know Angela, DC, lobbyist, on the Hill, but a lot has happened since then.
Yeah, a lot has happened in 6 months.
Okay.
So just in the course of the 6 months, we've seen our civil rights be rolled back 60 plus years.
Yeah.
So what I'm most proud of, and shout out to our podcast, Native Land Pod, Tiffany and Andrew, my co-hosts. But since the beginning of this year, there were so many conversations about how do people meet the moment, and this leader and that leader is not meeting the moment, and what are you doing? Yeah. And I was in those conversations, and I felt like God was like, well, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really meeting the moment. Okay. Like if we, like I have this,
like what? Yeah, I want to know what that means. Like you're not meeting the moment.
I'm gonna tell you. So I have this Harriet Tubman chain on, and I wear it as a reminder that no matter what we experience, it ain't that bad, right? Like I had to go 19 times to go back to get people lost, and I definitely would have had some Negroes lost,
right?
Because the way my geography is set up, that is not a strength,
right?
And so what I would say is, I had to really wrestle with the fact that if this is like our last opportunity to do everything we can, I got to do a lot more. So that's what I mean by meeting the moment. So I had the opportunity to get with a number of folks in our community who are seen as leaders, from young to old, and we came together to form a coalition called State of the People. And our very first thing together was this marathon that we pulled together in 36 hours. It was a virtual marathon for 24 hours that ran up against Donald Trump's joint address to Congress. And so that was the first time, like Lamell, all of these people from Legal Defense Fund to Ibram Kendi and the Emancipator to Nicole Hannah-Jones and, incredible talent, all coming, Stacey Abrams, and we did a virtual podcast, Joy Reid. We all came together to say, this is something we need you all to pay attention to. And we covered everything. Black Voters Matter covered farming and mutual aid. I mean, just voting rights, all these incredible conversations. And it was like this rich fabric of like, oh, Black people are dope. We got everything we need. Yeah. So on the other side of that, there was a leadership convening in Baltimore with some Black leaders. And we shopped this idea because people after the marathon were like, well, what y'all gonna do next? And I was like, well, what are we gonna do next? I don't know. Yeah. And so in Baltimore, we had this idea of maybe doing a tour, like taking what we saw on this 24-hour marathon and bringing it to communities. And so what was important to us is that we did it in a way where we didn't go in and tell people what they better do, what they ought to do, what they should have been doing. Yeah. We went in and said, how are you and what do you need? Yeah. When you consider scripture and meeting the needs of folks, it wasn't like, preaching salvation. It was, are you hungry? Are you clothed? Right. Do you have clean water? Like, are you well? Or do you need to be well? If you're incarcerated, we're coming to just see you. Yeah. And so we did all of that on the tour. We went to 12 cities. And during that process, we weren't just going into community to see people, to be with them, and to meet needs. We also produced 37 papers as a part of our Black Papers Policy Initiative ran by David Johns. Wow. ADD's too bad to keep that on track. So David got that done in 6 weeks. 100 of your most notable Black policy experts throughout the country. Wow. And now we have 700 pages of policy. Wow. It's just incredible. And I know God is in it because there's no way we could have done it on our own. So 200 plus national and local partners.
So
came
what
together.
was the thing that hit you the most? Like, what was the most glaring? Because I watched some of the clips. I kept up with the tour. Like, what was the most glaring?
Yeah, so we called it State of the People Power Tour, and I think what was glaring to me is while we are powerful, we're not necessarily clear about our power. And the other thing that really hit me that was very humbling is all of the times that I went on air, went to speak at colleges or a rally and told people the most important thing they could do is exercise their franchise. The most important thing you could do is vote. And while part of me believes that is true, that's not the whole truth.
Yeah.
Because it misses people where they are in need.
Okay.
Right? If you're someone, and these are people that we met on the tour, if you're someone who goes to shape the minds of our young people every single day, but where you go to rest at night is in your car, the most important thing you can do is not to vote, is to find shelter, right? If you're a young mother with 2 children under 3 and you bet on us to come to pay your light bill by meeting us at a church, and you're hoping that your car will make it from that church to work, and so you can get your kids to whoever the caretaker is. Your car breaks down at that church, we can jump the car, you get the bill paid, but the most important thing to you every day is probably how to make sure your lights stay on. For all of the people who we got fresh produce from Black farmers or we did grocery giveaway, if you were in that long line that wrapped around the block, the most important thing is putting food on the table. So how did we misconnect that much where we were telling people the most important thing they can do is vote without regard to their circumstances? It's such a glaring and obvious miss because, Lamell, like me, for some of us who take care of people in our families, we know that's not the truth. So how are we saying something that wasn't true because it was what we needed? So in what we needed to make sure that, we could still consult or our friends got in and we can make direct calls, how did we miss what other folks needed? Now, that's not to say that pushing them to vote wouldn't have resulted in policy that helped them. But what do you say to somebody who say, no matter who's in office, my circumstances have never changed?
Yeah, like if I got to make a priority between feeding my family, shelter, and voting.
Or if you have to choose between going to work to pay the bills that week or voting. We really have something fundamental to shift in this country. And I think part of it isn't just messaging. It's about compassion, about really making sure that there shouldn't be anybody in that kind of need. And I think I was blown away by how many people that's true for. Because we saw them, we met them.
I want to go back to something. I can't skip over it, especially because as a board member of several civil rights organizations, National Urban League, Rainbow Push, National Action Network, when you say that you met and you've been meeting with the quote unquote leaders, like how do you define leaders, but especially how do you define Black leadership today in our community?
Most of our national civil rights orgs were a part of the tour. Mark wrote the first check.
Good.
Mark cracked me up because Mark said, Mark was like, now, Angela, I know everything's going to be taken care of, but y'all don't have no money right now. So I'm going to make sure. And
That's
he didn't
great.
even ask me.
He's that kind of brother.
He was like,
By the way, she's talking about Mark Morial,
Morial.
President CEO of the National Urban League.
Big brothers. And it made me laugh because it was a consideration I didn't even have yet. Like, oh, how are we going to pay for this?
Yeah.
Like, we going to go out here. But we were on a faith walk the whole time.
Yeah.
And so from him to, Derek at NAACP, we wouldn't have had insurance for our events if NAACP hadn't stepped up the way they did. And I'll tell you, Lamell, this is actually mind-blowing, and it shows you how entrenched systemic racism is, especially in this moment, because when we went to shop for policies for the events, they were telling us it was going to cost $50,000 for events that were only going to cost $35 to $50K.
Yeah.
Why is the insurance policy that high?
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
And so when we were attached on the other policies, it was maybe $1,000. Right.
Yeah.
So it's amazing and mind blowing to see that. Now, to the question around Black leadership in this moment, I think that it varies. It's always varied. If you look at how our folks have led since they arrived on these shores by force, there's always been different types. I recently went to visit, just to like reconnect and tap in, the African burial ground on Wall Street. And when I was there, we were going to have a meeting the next day with several Black mayors about the importance of mutual aid networks after this bill, is creating all of these cuts for our folks, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, summer jobs, youth programs, free breakfast and lunch programs. And it was amazing to me because I walked alongside this wall. You know, there are things that you know, but when you read them again, you're like, I forgot about that. Mutual Aid Society of New York. We have never known anything else but to say, at Big Mama's house, my grandma's house was Granny's house. The first thing a Black grandmother or mother says to you when they see you is, are you hungry?
Ain't no doubt about it.
We don't know anything else. But they had that for insurance. They had that for paying for burials. They had that for food. They had that for, health care. Like, we have always been wired that way. So even in this moment where the threats are so great, we're only being invited to return to our roots, to what we know best. I hate for it to have to be in crisis. But if you're going to be in crisis with anybody, it better be somebody Black.
Are protests and marches and rallies still viable avenues to address our issues? Because you reference the African burial ground on Wall Street. And that's actually, instead of going to Washington for the annual August 28th, 1963 commemoration and march on Washington, Reverend Sharpton and organizations are going to Wall Street, to that place, right? And I think about the other boycotts we have going on, the corporations, et cetera, et cetera. What say ye?
I think that what we have to remember is that it is not one tactic that will result in our liberation, right? Like, we spend so much time being like, well, why are you doing it that way? Instead of saying, oh, that's one means to an end. Here's the end over here. This isn't an end I agree with. I agree with Black people being fully free in this country. I agree with us having economic power and liberation. I agree with us having access and equity. If you agree with all of these things, why are you fighting the people that have a different tactic? Like, you don't have to be the person with the bullhorn. My daddy carries a bullhorn in his trunk, may or may not have batteries right now. I don't know. But what I do know is, most likely, I'm probably not going to use popperized tactics. Right. I remember one time getting off a flight in Seattle, and my dad was like, baby, come in here. I was like, where are you? He's like, I'm in the port commission room. I was like, why are you whispering? He's like, come in here and see. I go in the port commission room, fresh off a flight with my luggage. My dad is in the back of the port commission room, full Nike sweatsuit on with a banner up with his friends. And I was like, what are y'all doing? He's like, well, I'm about to testify. I was like, you don't want to wear no suit to testify? He's like, I'm protesting now. I'm doing both. I'm like, okay. Wouldn't have been my approach, right? I'm like, you don't have to, if you testifying today, you don't have to hold the banner up in the back because you about to say this on the mic. I understand. But I'm not going to get on the mic and be like, I don't agree with what he's doing right here. It's my daddy, but I also am not going to do that to undermine any of our elders. There are different approaches, and there are reasons why they do certain things that I may or may not ever understand. I don't understand why he still has saved every banner of every protest he's ever been in. But now, Lamell, 6 months into this administration, maybe he knew we was going to run the whole thing back. Like, we just don't know. When you have experienced this country for 82 years, which is his truth. Now, he said, he ain't never been this damn bad before. He said that. But if you have that and you have the ancestral memory, like, you may be holding on to it for a reason. Might need it again.
Is Angela Rye an advocate for all people or just Black people?
I lead Black. I was raised in a community that was very much about a rainbow coalition. I'm not far
You're from Seattle?
From Seattle, Washington, born and raised. Always rep the 206, real hard. But I would say to you, I don't believe in leaving anybody out. I co-founded a Black Student Union with my best friend in high school. And it was a very multicultural membership. But I lead Black because I think if you look at our history, where we have always been led astray is when we branch out before our foundation is absolutely solid. So we start building a coalition before we are rooted in anything, right? We're not rooted in ideology, not rooted in agreement on things, not even who's going to take what tactic, but just like, oh, I'm going to branch out over here. Like, I've been studying a lot the 1972 National Black Political Convention.
Gary, right?
In Gary, Indiana. Coleman Young has this moment where he walks out of the convention and he says it's because if all of labor can't be present here, like meaning Black, white, indigenous, Latino, whomever. If everybody in labor is not welcome here, this is not the right agenda. He leads the entire Michigan delegation out of the convention. I think they ended up brokering some deal. I need to talk to some of our forebears who were there.
Yeah.
But the point is, it has to be this for labor, or we can't even do a black agenda.
Interesting.
Why? But we've seen that happen time and time again.
Sounds like some local politics. Coleman Young, former mayor of Detroit.
Yeah.
Detroit being the automotive capital, big labor.
Yeah.
I get it.
And this one, he wasn't mayor then. I think he was a state rep then.
Interesting.
But my point is, we start being picked off by interest before we say, like, okay, but here's our bottom line for black folks. You can still say this is what's required for labor, and I'm going to get to that. You should, especially if that's where you work, if that's where your allies are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But this is what black folks require. Leave this untouched, right? And then add on to labor, add on to the immigrant community, add on to that the folks who are poor and destitute and need support, add on to that folks who are dealing with addiction, add on to that, healthcare and all these things.
Right.
But what are black people saying our bottom lines are? And I think that when I reflect historically on what's happened, it always gets jacked up when we try to broaden before we are solid.
Fair enough. Let me pivot a little bit if I can. As a media personality, an infotainer, a thought leader.
An infotainer.
Is AI coming for your job?
Well, let me tell you where AI got a little problem.
Okay, let's go.
This is a perfect example. Kids, don't try this at home. When you consider the fact that it has flaws because it was built by humans,
Deep.
right? The biggest flaw that I know of right now, and I keep using this as an example, do you know how many women who are deltas have come up to me and been like, "Hey, Sarar," and I'm like, "Where you get that from?" Chat GPT. Guess what? I'm not
in any
Delta.
sorority
or any sorority, right? I just had the room
Right.
stand up earlier. It's like anybody in black, 5 black, stand up, right? Like it's
right.
So I guess what I'm saying to you is it is flawed, and so wherever there's a flaw, there is still space for us to fill the gap. So I think the over reliance on AI will actually cause us harm. I know there are a lot of ways that it is helpful.
Yeah.
But I think that if people think they can use it to write their papers, they about to be wrong just on the facts.
Have you seen the media and entertainment industry shift as a result of AI in the last 12 months?
For sure. Like they're talking about using AI to write for, like, be the writers' rooms now in Hollywood.
Yeah.
They're trying to use people's likeness with AI just so that they don't have to pay folks.
So how do entertainers stay interesting and relevant in light of this pending technology?
I think I would much rather deal with the human and their nuance of their experience than someone who is, or something that is flat just by because, okay, let's think about it this way, Lamell. If you created some type of AI thing, it is going to be created based on where you are in the moment.
Yeah.
It's not going to evolve and grow with you. It's stuck in that moment.
Yeah.
So whatever AI thing, contraption, whatever, it's going to be stuck where you created it. So it's not evolving with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the ability. Now, when they create an AI that can evolve, now we have a problem. But if it's flat in the moment based on the limits of your knowledge in that moment, I mean, I don't understand. I wish that we weren't so threatened by it so we could have real, earnest conversations about its rightful place.
So one area I am interested in seeing is the impact AI would have on quote unquote thought leadership. This probably sounds like a simple question with an obvious answer, but what makes a true thought leader? What makes someone worth listening to as a thought leader?
Someone who listens.
Mm.
And that's
you can't speak unless and until you listen.
Well, you can.
Yeah.
But I don't know how good
Right.
what you're going to say is. I think that was one of the most rewarding experiences, again, from the tour for me. I spent way more time listening, taking notes, just trying to hear, just being present, talking to people. I'm normally like, I still fist bump or hug because the hands is really dirty. It's very nasty. But I spent so much time just getting to know people's experiences.
Yeah.
Remarkably different from mine.
Yeah.
So to me, you can't be any kind of leader if you're not hearing what people need, hearing where people are, understanding how their lives are different from yours. And I think there are a lot of people who are not thought leaders. They are ego leaders. right? To spend a lot of time trying to prove their relevance, staying relevant by stepping and walking over so many other people, in ways that are very harmful. I hope I don't want to lead that way at all.
In my book, The Power to Persist, one of the 8 habits I discuss that helps to build resilience is surrounding yourself with positivity. One way to do that is to remove toxic people, but also let go of toxic ideas. It's important, whether it's from thought leaders or your close circle, to identify when someone or something no longer serves you. As someone who has such a large platform, how do you protect yourself from toxicity?
I don't think you can. I think that, you don't have to stay in something toxic, but you're going to be exposed to it.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I would tell people to do is pray to be discerning and keep people around you who know what your blind spots are. Because often toxicity seeps in where you are blind or where you have like a flat side. There were so many instances, even on our tour, where there was like, there's like that one personality type that pops up in every single city.
No doubt about it.
Right? It's one personality type that pops up in every single city. It's the person who is brilliant and has so much to offer, but has not been seen for so long that they lead with their wounds. So Rochelle Farrell has this song called Wounds in the Way. And I would say, don't let your wounds get in the way of progress. Don't lead with your wounds, because you're going to miss your moment. You're going to miss this opportunity to really be held in love. And it had just happened every time. Some people were able to evolve out of it in the moment, but there were a lot of people that can't. And I think some of it is toxicity is nothing but unhealed trauma.
Yeah.
And so if people will create the spaciousness to deal with the trauma and say, okay, I can be vulnerable here and confess that this is a problem for me. I think that that's the first step.
Vulnerability is one of the 8 principles I talk about in the book, and how difficult
Mission critical. It's hard.
It is, right?
People think strength is the opposite of that. It is not. That's the strongest thing you can do, is be vulnerable.
Yeah. How do you keep positivity so present in your world?
I don't know if I do. I don't know if people would say that that's my strongest suit. I would say.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just think that I lead more with truth than positivity. I'll give you a good example.
Do they have to be mutually exclusive?
No, I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. I would just say that I would still tend to truth, even if it means I'm being negative for a moment. But I would say that positivity, positivity can be toxic too. It could be, you can gaslight people in positive, right? Like, even, for example, if I say, how you doing, Lamell?
I'm doing great.
Okay. Now, if you sit with that for a second, are you really doing great?
I think so.
Okay. Right? But generally speaking, we say that to people. People say, blessed, great, well.
When that's really not the case.
They haven't even considered it. Have you done a body scan? Like right now for me, my head is hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm worried about my mom. I ain't call her today. I need to make sure you're right. Like, there are things on my mind. I'm behind on deadlines.
Yeah.
I am doing great. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
And also, there are some things that are present for me. And I think there are some people who never consider the truth of how they're doing.
Got it.
I think there are people who will say in this moment, everything we're dealing with, they're like, oh, it ain't that bad. What are you talking about? Now, they could be oblivious to it, and it really might not be that bad for them. Or they may have just really overcome something huge, and so it's really great for them in this moment. But for me, I'm like, let me tell y'all the truth about this.
But even though you haven't called your mom, even though you got deadlines, even though you have stuff to do, you can still find joy. Joy is a choice.
Sure. But I'm not talking about finding joy.
Yeah.
I'm talking about toxic positivity. Right?
Toxic positivity.
Which I think are different. I do think those, I think you can find, and hopefully you do. Like, if you can rest in gratitude, you will always find peace.
Yeah.
But I still think that positivity is something that you just got to be careful. It can be toxic if you're not honest. Like, just be honest with yourself.
When I first met you in DC, you were on Capitol Hill, later became the executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus. You've blossomed as a prominent American political commentator, strategist, attorney, familiar face on major news and even sports networks. You have your own media platforms. What would the Angela I met in D.C. years ago say to the Angela we all know and love today? What does resilience and where does resilience and persistence come into play?
The first part of the answer I would say is, girl, what are you doing? Like, I think that I've always been I don't want to say, I think it's negative to say scattered. I have always had multiple interests.
Yeah.
Arguably, maybe some would argue more, multiple talents.
Yeah.
Enjoy pulling people together to do interesting, dope, and impactful things.
Yeah.
And so that hasn't changed much. I think I would be most surprised by like having done media because it was never a desire. My dad had a TV show when I was before I was born.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I'm like, I would have never, when people ask me about doing it, I was like, no, I'm not doing TV. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I fell into that. And there are a lot of places on my journey where I fell into it. Apparently it was a purposeful, pull. But I've only used those mediums to do something to make a difference for our folks. If I can't do something where I'm like, I know that I am doing something that will help our people, I don't want to do it. So that has been consistent. Resilience, I think I haven't had to really be resilient. I don't. I think that when I consider people like my friend Marilyn Mosby, she's had to be resilient.
Okay.
Andrew Gillum, he's had to be resilient.
Okay.
My mom, battling cancer has had to be resilient.
Yeah.
I haven't had to be resilient. I've had to be creative.
Yeah.
I've had to be humble.
Yeah.
I've had to advocate with my mouth and my words and imprint and otherwise. But I don't really feel like I've had to be resilient as an individual. I think we've been called to do that as a people. That I haven't had to be resilient.
I never would have thought that you would have transitioned from DC. When I thought about Angela, I thought like, you are DC.
It's one Trump election, and that was all she wrote.
But you had kind of made a transition prior to the Trump. Is that right? So you were still in and around?
I was in DC, and when Donald Trump won the election in 2016, I was flat on the floor in my apartment, laid out on my face like a Mack truck hit me. And I called Joy Reid. We tell this story all the time.
Yeah.
And I called when I finally got up off the floor to get into bed, I called her. I said, sis, give me one reason why I should ever get out this bed again. And she said, I can't tell you that because I need you to give me a reason. you know? And from that moment, honestly, Lamell, it felt like there was a darkness over the district that I just couldn't shake. And so I was like, well, if he could use media to misinform people and to misdirect people and to create something so toxic, maybe I can use it for good. So I was going back and forth between DC and LA trying to figure it out. I don't really think that I succeeded in figuring it out. So many of these companies before they even merged weren't really about that life, about doing impactful content because they were worried about whether or not it would rate. So there were a lot of things that I had the opportunity. I had a whole show on Quibi. Quibi folded, other Black production companies I was supposed to do shows with, they didn't happen. So I'm like, all right, well, the doors open that are supposed to open. Maybe I'm trying to force something I'm not, supposed to do, at least not in this season.
Yeah. Speaking of resilience and persistence, I know how much you love your entire family, but especially your mom and dad. They have been champions for civil and human rights. What is the greatest lesson that they've passed on to you regarding resilience?
My mom, for my mom, is attitude. My mom, I
talk about that's one of the 8 principles.
It's one of the 8.
That's one of the 8.
My mom, I am blown away by my mom. Like she is. Everybody thinks like my dad is like, the gangster. My mom is the real gangster. She has taken on this cancer battle with such a good spirit.
Yeah.
I've only seen her be grouchy twice.
Okay.
And for me growing up with her, that is remarkable because growing up, she was a little more tough. She gonna kill me for saying that, but she knows it's true.
Yeah.
So now watching her, I'm just like, wow, mommy, like you're such a soldier. Like she's, she'll like snatch off her wig and she'll be like, she might be like, my hair growing back. She is just an OG and I love her for that. My dad, My favorite thing about my dad is like, he don't care. He gonna ask you for whatever he needs. When he sees you at ALC, he gonna be like, Lamell, when you coming on the radio show? Like
No doubt about it.
my dad gonna have 3 asks. It's where's it? He want to take a picture.
Yep.
He wants you on the radio show, and he gonna give you a Martin Luther King lapel pin because
Yeah.
it's Martin Luther King County in Seattle. And then the 4th thing, oh no, that might be 4th. So the 5th thing will be, you know, something about contracts and jobs in Seattle.
Yeah.
And did you know it's 1/10 of 1%, and we
Yeah.
got to do something. Like, so he's always gonna have a call to action. I get that from him.
Yeah.
So even around Save the People are like, you bold, you ask anybody anything. I'm like, yeah. Like, what do we have to lose at this point? We need all of us.
Yeah.
So I get that from him. My mom, I'm working on the positive part, but she used to say to me to make big things small and small things nothing. And I think that she would be proud of the fact that I finally am doing that. It might have taken 45 years, but I'm finally doing that a lot better. And it took her journey and this part of her journey in this battle for me to get that.
I love it. I've been dying to ask you this question for a
Oh,
long
Lord.
time. If you could convene a dinner table of 8 female ancestors, who would it be and why?
Harriet, she on my necklace.
Got that one?
Harriet. I have an ancestor, the only one whose name we know the furthest back. Her name is Marie from Senegal.
Okay.
My mother's grandmother, who she's named after. So her name was Andrea LeBlanc. My great grandmother on it was Granny's great grandma. So on my dad's side, Julia McMillan was born on Juneteenth. So I want to ask her, like, talk to her about being born on Juneteenth. Dang, I'm already at 4. Hold on.
Now you may be at 5.
No,
Yeah,
that's not
I
5.
think so.
Harriet, Marie, Andrea LeBlanc, and Julia McMillan. That is 4.
Okay, all
You
right.
see, don't be trying to skip my numbers. Justice anywhere. I feel like I need like an African queen or something. Maybe Queen Zinga. Zinga. So I could hear how we, you know, could get ready for real war and be in battle and still do it royally. Now that is 5. Who else do I want? I need 3 more. Oh man, this is tough. Mel, this is really wrong. You know what? I think Ida B. Wells, because of the importance of storytelling at a time like this, I would pick Shirley Chisholm as one of our CBC founders and what it means to navigate in these times, more recent one. And then my last one is gonna be, I feel like I need a black businesswoman. She was in LA, but I don't think she was from LA. And I can see this woman's Maggie Lena Walker.
What would you hope to gain from convening that 8?
Well, wisdom. How do we not make the same mistakes? Maggie Lena Walker.
Okay.
First black woman to charter a bank and the first black woman to serve as a bank president.
Wow.
So yeah, before there was venture, there was Maggie Lena Walker.
Right.
So what I would want to do is, I think we spend a lot of time thinking like, you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to start and all that stuff has been started before.
Yeah.
Dang, Lamell, I should have had one that did a mutual aid society too. We really need that right now.
Yeah.
I get 9. That's my reparations. I just don't know the names of the person anyway.
I got you.
In New York. But I would want to talk to them saying, okay, given all that you see right now, which direction do you think we're about to go if we don't do anything? What direction are we capable of going in if we come together? How many people need to come together for this moment, and what kinds of people need to come together? I would ask them what they think we were getting right, what they wish they would have known,
Right.
you know, how well they think they worked together in the different spheres that they were in. I mean, we could talk about all kinds of things. What it's like to be a first.
Yeah.
What freedom looked like to them then. What they didn't realize about it, how restricted they may have been, and what their hopes were for us in our liberation.
I look at your journey and I see what you've done and what you're doing. And the question that comes to mind is, why isn't Angela a public servant? Why isn't she run for office? Why isn't she serving in that way? You would be what I would think our communities need in a public servant in that way.
That's just not my calling. I think that there's more than one way to serve the public.
Yeah.
I am, right? Like everything that I do, my mom says, you are not running a social work agency, but I kind of am. Like the things that I enjoy doing the most are the free things. I have a professional development program for young people who have just graduated from college or just out of college. We now have 600 alums from that program.
Wow.
And they are incredible, doing things all over the country. I was like, oh, we about to put y'all back together because this is an organizing body now.
Yeah.
Right? So there are ways that I've always given back. I don't know any other way. State of the people. You know, there was a free service for us to our people because they're like, oh, we're multi-gifted and talented in all these ways. How do we give back to you? So I think public service isn't just about running for office and being elected. It's also ways that we give back to pour back. You're a public servant. The way that you give it back to your neighborhood where you grew up, a lot of people wish they could do that.
Yeah.
Some of them don't.
Yeah.
But you were like, I wish and I am, right? So I think that is a form of public service, or community service, or cultural service. But whatever it is, I don't think that you have to take an oath and, vote on legislation or introduce bills or do press conferences to do that kind of work. I think that you can do it without having a title. And it's just as significant, sometimes more, right?
Agreed. What has been the biggest sacrifice or trade-off that you've made on your journey so far?
Sleep. Sleep. Learning to, and it's hard for me, especially in this era, because it's so traumatic. I just wake up in the middle of the night like, we're not ready. Like we are not ready for what's coming. We have to get ready. So I'm like, I can't sleep right now. I need to figure out this other piece. I think probably more quality time with family and friends. It's a little bit easier now being back home in Seattle.
Right.
I can call my parents. I'm 12 minutes, well, depending on traffic, 12 minutes away from them.
You're back home in Seattle now. All right.
Want to be closer to her. Like you got to advocate during treatments and make sure everything is good. Yeah, I would say maybe that type of quality time. I think choosing the career path I chose meant that I couldn't have kids when when most of my peers were. And that's been a regret. I've cried about that sometimes. Like, dang, did I miss my opportunity? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. Yeah. And I love kids. My best friend said it's because I'm one of them. That might be true. But I love them. Like there are so many young people who is, they light up the room. Yeah. But I got nieces and nephews that I've adopted all throughout this tour. Yeah. Got 6 god kids, 5 of them are boys. Yeah. But I think that's a big sacrifice too.
I was recently talking to Jesse Jr. and I asked him the question, what is it like to watch his father age with Parkinson's, right? In the way that he's aging. And I know what it's been like for me as, he's like a father figure to me, a hero. I've worked for him and worked with him. And I'm watching my own mom age and upstairs and she has a caregiver. What has it been like for you to watch your parents age?
To watch them age, I'm thankful. Yeah. I have a lot of friends who lost their parents before they really even got to know who they were, So I'm grateful they're still here. I think that my parents deserve to age without pain. I think all of our elders deserve that. So if I could do one thing, magically, that would be just be old and have a good time. You can still have all of that, the functioning of your limbs, all that. Like I feel like there's always something. So I'm like, damn, why your hand swole up? Like it's just always something. And then like you look back at like maybe even 10 years ago, I'm like, y'all was chunkier 10 years ago. Now I'm chunky. Like what are we doing? Yeah. So that's really interesting. And I remember being a kid thinking these people were invincible. Yeah. They could do anything. They were so strong. They were the people I went to open jars or, Yeah. And like now my mom used to make this face when she was opening a jar. And now it's like, no, you got to do this. Yeah. So I think that there's a part of it that's hard, but the part that allows us to get wisdom imparted and to watch them age. And like now my dad makes sure he's holding her hand everywhere. There's some parts of it that I love. And
They've been married now for how many years?
Oh my God. I think it's 57 years.
I need to have them on the podcast.
You should. Yeah, they crazy too. But I'm trying to think how my brother is. How old am I? I'm 45, he's 59. So they are, it's 55 years. It'll be 56 this year.
Wow. When Angela gets in the car, what's on the playlist?
It depends on my mood.
Okay.
Sometimes it could be Dog Pound.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be gospel.
Yeah.
Not Maverick City, though. You need to check on what your boy just did.
Yeah.
Trump voter. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm very rarely like an R&B girl. I have a special playlist that I made for State of the People because I knew there would be times where your cousins might stretch me to my limits. And that playlist starts with devotion. And I play that on repeat sometimes, in part because I was floored by the fact that they weren't saying true devotion. Did you know that? What you thought it was true devotion too? This is why we need to have a game show where we ask black people to interpret song lyrics, because we'd be wrong. But it's through devotion.
Through devotion.
Which makes so much more sense.
It does.
So if we move, like if our intention is through devotion, then there is so much more that we're expansive. Or there is so much more that we have spaciousness to hold. There's, you know, and I definitely always said true devotion.
Through devotion.
Through devotion. It is the pathway. It is the means through which we get there. And I think that if we lead with that, we're going to be better.
Favorite book and why?
This changes. I've always said Invisible Man because I felt like black people deserve to really fully be seen. That there's so many that have shaped me. There really, really are. It's funny because on the podcast recently, on Native Land Pod, we were sharing books that we want to read or that people should read. And I told folks that they need to read the autobiography of Assata Shakur. Tiff had never read the book, which I was so surprised by. But Tiff, because she reads everything, Tiff was like, okay, now I'm radicalized. She a freedom fighter for real. Okay. So next time you see Tiff, she might have an afro. We gonna see. She gonna grow it out.
Now that would be hilarious.
I know. Yeah. She might be ready though. But I think there's so many that shaped me.
Yeah.
Dr. Angela Yvonne Davis, who I'm named after. Yeah. You know, there isn't anything that she writes that isn't extraordinarily brilliant. There's so many.
I got you. Lastly, before we let you go, what does Angela Rye do for fun, and how important is that to help you to continue to persist?
I feel like I'm not doing enough fun stuff right now. I'm doing a lot to keep myself grounded. Got my little sound bowls. Also, family keeps you grounded. They don't let you get too far off the ground at all, right? Like
no doubt about it.
Order me some wings, right? Yeah, they just like, okay, whatever you need, ma'am or sir. Like they really don't care. For fun, I definitely hang out with my parents.
Yeah.
My best friend Leonetta. Watch a game. I'm like old school, like Family Feud, arguing with the TV. Like, who did they only talk to white people for this? We would have never said that answer. Like, it's a for real. It's a for real thing. I love watching games with my dad. Although he likes baseball, I don't do baseball, but I watch football or basketball. Mostly basketball with my dad. What else? Walking now, I feel like brings me a certain amount of peace. I will complain about cooking until I start. Then I'm like, I need to do this more. It helps me unravel my thoughts, calm my nerves. Hang out with family, my people.
Angela Rye, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule to be on the Power to Persist podcast and coming to hang Southside Chicago.
Southside.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you're listening so you stay in the know about future episodes. See you next time, my friends.